is Geraldine Eve, the heart behind 143 Communications, the fastest growing digital agency in Zimbabwe, as well as one agency that's going to be the biggest agency in Africa. So watch the space. Today we're going to be talking about something that people really talk about: failure in business. One thing that I can tell you is that you fail every day in business, but what's important is getting up after you fail. So I'm going to look into one particular story. So at one point in time, I decided that, well, I think my business is big enough. It's time I hire more people. So I hired people, and I can safely say it was a disaster because I didn't have structures. I had about 10 people, and they were all reporting to me. So as we had gone for about 4 or 5 months, and it was going well, and I said, no, let me go back to school, because when I started 143 Communications, I decided to was studying towards a master's in business intelligence. So I just decided to stop it. Then I thought, well, this is my time to go back to school. I've got a team. No, the business will run itself. So there I was. I was at school, and first few weeks it was all cool, and I was calling in, guys, what's going on? And then the clients started calling me, and they were like, Geraldine, what's going on? What's going on with your team? We can't even think of what's going on. And with time, I then thought these clients are just being, they're just being funny because they're not used to working with my team. So maybe they just want me to be around. No, they'll get used to the team. With time, one client dropped. That was December 2019. One client dropped, and then we're like, no, actually it was December 2018, exactly, not 2019. One client dropped, moved to 2, and in no time we dropped 15 clients. That's when I thought, oh my goodness, I felt like giving up, like thinking, okay, why have I been working all those years just for the clients to go? I tried to go back to the clients. Some of them understood and they came back. Most of them actually didn't. So we had to start all over again to start getting clients. And one thing that I have realized, starting from scratch, starting to convince someone that it's actually difficult in itself, maybe because of COVID and stuff like that. It's now a bit easier in our field. But before COVID, it was very difficult to convince people that they needed digital, number one. Number two, it didn't help that we're a small agency. Mostly people want to work with big names that they know, and so it was very, very difficult. So imagine starting from scratch again, and you have 10 people that you need to pay at the end of the month, yet you've dropped the bulk of your clients. Because I remember we had about 18 clients. So in essence, we're left with 3 clients from 18 clients. I felt like a failure. I had failed. One, I had failed to organize my team. I had failed to have structures in my team. And I think that's one thing small business struggle with as you grow. And I remember when someone was describing my failure at this acceleration program I was participating in, they say to me, the problem that you did, Geraldine, was you grew too big, too fast. Could you ever imagine that growing would ever be a problem? But to me, growing big was being a problem. So I failed to manage my team. Even though I didn't have structures, I also failed to manage my team to be able to, when I went to school, I sort of like shut down. And writing a dissertation, anyone who's written a dissertation knows what I'm going through. So imagine a master's dissertation. I actually shut down. I wasn't even checking if they were doing the work. Some were even posting things with watermarks. Some were not posting at all. So it was a disaster. So for me, that was my failure story. That's the point in my business. I really felt like giving up. Imagine you've worked so many years. That was now 3 years, I think. And the work that you've put through for 3 years is all of a sudden nothing. And to top it up all, that's when the currency issues were now coming through, where people were confused. Are we using RTGS? Are we using US dollar? What is the rate? There was no official rate. And the 3 clients that remained with us were paying something like 150 RTGS, which was not like, I think in total. And you're thinking, okay, guys, I don't even know how we're going to move from this. And you've got situations where now our bank cards were now being rejected online because even the international community was confused about what was happening. So you got to a point where you look like every time you get into the office, there is something that is going wrong. Either a client has left, either a client is shouting, or the card has been rejected, or, you know, and some of the people started leaving. But I've got another, very funny story when 8 people left at the same time. But, next time we'll talk about it. But today we're talking about this time when I really failed to run my business.
So I heard you talking about you failed your business because you were scaling the operations. And I understand people say scaling comes at a cost. And I'm also looking forward to scale my business. So how did you fail, and how did it happen?
All right. How it happened is that I didn't have system. I had 10 people all reporting to me. So once I stepped out of the business, no one could tell the other one that you do this, you do that. So at the end of the day, and no one had duties or responsibilities. No one had a job description. I don't think anyone had a contract. I don't even remember.
Wow.
I think I can be sued for saying this. But I think no one had a contract. No one knew where their job started and ended. What are my daily tasks? Just having like a basic system that would help. No one even knew if this happens, how do we talk to a client? No one even knew the requirements of what the client wanted. Wow. Of which, as much as I'd like to blame my team, I was mostly to blame because I'm the one who was supposed, when they came into the organization, I'm the one who was supposed to tell them that this is your job description, this is what you expected, this is how you do it. But for me, I was like, just come to work. I don't mind. Let's just work. We're working.
You're being a CEO too early.
I guess so. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I think it's like I was saying, there is a certain emotion that drives behind everybody who is an entrepreneur. When you reach a certain stage, there's another emotion that comes in that you need to take note of. And scaling usually comes at a cost. And I think that is one of the costs of failing to build a system when you're scaling your business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you also talked about show off. It was also about showing off to all those people. All those people that thought I would make it. Now I've got 10 employees. I want to show you. And you're having those 10 employees and you're thinking, back then you're looking at, after losing all those clients, you don't even one of my failures was you don't even have like a backup plan. Exactly. Okay, what happens if these clients don't pay?
Exactly.
What happens if they pull out?
Yeah.
I didn't even do my research. I would just go like, if someone says, if I ask them, okay, this is how I even grew to 10 people. I would ask someone, okay, why isn't this work done? Then they'll say, boss, it's too much. I think we need someone else. Then I would come I would employ someone, like, don't worry, let's employ someone. The money that we have, it's enough. I didn't even really look, like you were saying, I think you talked about it, where you're thinking of the money that you have right there and then. You're not even thinking about the money, how you're going to be using it in the event that the income that you're expecting will not come. So I got end of month, December 2018, and I couldn't pay anyone. I think my husband actually had to take a loan for us to pay the salaries for that month. Yeah. That's how terrible it was.
So how did you go about it?
How I went about it, it was not a one-time thing. I started putting my structures, and it took me a long time, up to about a year, of even up to now, we're still doing policies, documentation,
Exactly.
and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I didn't even know that there was an HR policy. Nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a learning process where you now go back to school and you start schooling yourself
Exactly.
in ways of business, because our educational system doesn't teach us that.
Exactly. Like it does.
And you're going back. I think what also helped me is that I went through an acceleration program that was offered by YEP, CBZ YEP, and I went to another acceleration program that was offered by ACT in Africa.
Okay.
So those are some of the guys that came in to give me that education that I was lacking in the formal thing.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's that's how it is in Zimbabwe. You know, when you Zimbabwe, particularly, I would say Africa, when you start a business, basically you come from more like the informal sector, and then you're doing things, you're just doing things, but no records,
you're just
no
a
contracts.
hustler.
And
You're going there.
You know, you're getting there through hustling.
If this doesn't work,
Yeah.
and then you go like this, and you don't really have food. Okay, fine. You know, I didn't even have structures to say if you're not doing work, what do we do? Do we do it? Do we have a warning? First letter warning.
Yeah.
You get fired for doing this. What are you allowed to do? What are you not allowed to do? Others used to come to work chewing gum and putting gum under the desks. There was
There was no organizational culture.
It was more like, let's do this. Exactly. No organizational culture.
Yeah.
Let's do this. We're here to have fun and make money while it's having fun.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. So, I think that was it.
Yeah, I think that it's a bit helpful to the other entrepreneurs out there. They have to understand that it all comes back to fundamentals. When you start a business, you have to be open-minded and you need to learn more about business as you go.